So this will be a video where I describe how to use the for command in ladder logic. Basically, it's a loop command. Some of you might be aware of it if you've done any type of command line programming. You're aware of it, but for some of us, like head electricians, that may not be something that you're aware of, but it's a helpful tool. And I haven't recorded something new, so I feel like I need to now. So I was creating a lesson in class for my class this week on basically adds and multiplies, and I get sick of walking over to the trainer to push buttons. So I made an array of internal memory bits. But then I was thinking, man, I get sick of resetting all those memory bits every time. So perfect opportunity to use a for command. And since I was smart and made these an array, this will illustrate something very easily. So basically, this is a simple program where I'm just to demonstrate how add, multiply, subtract, and move commands work for my class. Now I have a hidden routine on a first scan to call reset, or I misspelled it, so I called it rest. But here's what happens on my first scan and this is a file fill, which you may have seen on my channel before, where it says, hey, for 16 elements, put a 0 in that dint. Easy. But that only works for dints. What about the bools? What about the single things I've done with an array? If I would have created a single dint, I could have just done a move 0 into that, and it would have turned all those off. But what if I have an array of bools that I want to turn off at one time? I know Siemens has the set reset bit field. I'm sure there's an easier way to do this. There's probably a command, but I thought, you know what, this would be a perfect way to illustrate a for command. So this is what the for looks like, and it automatically you need to have a routine that you call. So I created a off subroutine. You need to have an integer or a dint that will reference its elements. So in this case, I created an index called test. And it is a dint. You can see it's in the program tags dint. You need to have an initial value where it starts from, basically where you number from every time. So in this case, 0 is where I'm starting from because that's the first element of my Boolean array. And then a termination value. Because remember, so if I go in my program tags and open that up and go to internal bits, it goes all the way up to 31. So for 0 to 31. So it's 32 elements, but if you don't remember, you start counting at 0, you might get messed up. And the step size of 1. You could step size 2, you could step size 3. In this case, I'm stepping 1 because I want the whole thing cleared out. And then in my off command, this is where the important thing is. I put an always false bit in because I want to turn off bits, and I use an OTE. But here's the big thing, is I use an indirect reference for my bit. Because anytime it's in the brackets, that means an array, but I can put inside the brackets, and this is the great thing about arrays, another integer value or a dint value to reference. And in this case, it says, do the internal bit array reference the dint value, the current dint value of test, and then do that thing. So to see this in operation, the program I have, let me go to mode. So the program here, I can just toggle the bits, and I'm going to turn all these on just to demonstrate and keep them on. But basically, this was a fancy way for me to do some testing in class. But I got sick. I can toggle bits a lot easier with the keyboard for the student rather than walking in front of the screen and go to the trainer. So now all these are on. Everything's hunky-dory. I'm going to go into this here, and what I'm going to do is go to program mode because the first scan works when you transition from program to run. And so now I will do run mode, and you'll notice, well, let me go back to the other thing. All these bits are on, and I can go in and just start doing, 1, just put a bunch of them on. So I'll do all of them. I'll just put a bunch of them on here. Okay, a bunch of them on. Once I go to run mode, you'll notice they'll all go to 0. And look, they all went to 0 because this will execute and add 1 every time, because it's basically a for do loop. So it's going to execute this as many times as I set up and add 1 every time. So it's a way to use indirect referencing. It's ways to do arrays and make your life a lot easier. So if you had so that's why arrays are fun, because if you want to turn off a bunch of things at one time, but then keep that structure, you can use these index, and it saves a lot of memory. So you could do this for multiple different things. This was an example, but again, the name of the job, what value you want to index, meaning what thing you want to step up every time, what that initial value of that index is, what the last value of that index is, and what size you want to go up. And then you want to have a routine that will reference that index to do something every time. So it's a way of modularizing your commands and going from there. I hope this was helpful. Thought this, since I was working on it, why not record? So have a good day.